that's not facing the right way. There you go. Here. And my camera is probably gonna die here in a minute, but I wanted to show you something I've been working on. I just sent out, if you're on my email list, I'm good about like working on projects, and then when it comes to like writing the patterns down, I kind of suck. But I'd been working on 2 patterns that I call them suitable for handspun yarn. And I just sent out one earlier this week, and it's on my website, the fingerless gloves. So if you've been looking for those are up on the website. But another one I'm working on that it's too big to even get in the camera. This is a big, it's gonna be like a big chunky scarf, and it's actually gonna be really similar to our fisherman's net cowl. And then that one's more of a cowl. I wanted to make like a traditional, like, you know, long scarf thing. But it's the same stitch pattern. And the reason that this scarf came to be was, here, I'm just gonna pivot it down to where you can see, is for FiberShare, my FiberShare partner, instead of just sending me fiber, was super great and sent me this beautiful beehive yarn that she spun. She was also a spinner. So she sent me some that she'd spun. My bad, dying, sorry. So she'd sent me this that she'd spun, and this she'd spun, and this she'd spun, but she also sent me 2 of that brand Knit College, which I'd actually never used. So this is Knit College. It's got like all the little daisies and stuff in it. And then this is Knit College. And so I wanted to use them all together because I have so much yarn and then I hardly ever actually get to knit it that I wanted to make a pattern that it could all be used together because I like making kind of like stash buster patterns. And the part, let's see, I just finished, oh yeah, side note, and I may be about to sound like a hater, but like I said, the yarn, if this video dies on me, that the beautiful beehive yarn here, look at it. And I did this with like a drop stitch. So like I said, this pattern will be coming for free later, but it's like a 3 rows of drop stitch and then 3 rows of garter stitch. But I really like doing this with the bigger yarn because as you see, it lets all the texture, like it holds together really well, but it lets the texture show. And the person who made all this fabulous beehive yarn, her shop is called The Lovely Lions Yarn. You can find her on Instagram. And she is obviously the queen of beehive yarn. So I teach beehive yarn in my dream yarn spinning class, and I teach it with like a thin thread that you do beehives on. And it looked like she did it with like a thinner, I say thinner, like a worsted piece of yarn, and then beehived 2 kind of like worsted bulky yarns onto each other. So it made like this really cool, like chunky beehive look. And you can kind of see it in the thinner. Like I said, I usually do mine with like 1 big and like 1 much smaller yarn, but she kind of did it with 2 even ones. So it turned out really cool. So I definitely prefer, and I'm not trying to sound like a hater, I prefer her yarn that she spun way more than the Knit College yarn, which I'd never used before. And like I said, this one was okay, the one with the daisies and stuff in it. It was okay to work with. And this is the end of it. And you see it's like really loose. Like it doesn't, like this part doesn't even really look spun to me. Like I kind of, it was definitely a confusion to me, like as a spinner, that this stuff to me doesn't even really look spun. It looks like kind of loosely twisted and somewhat felted. So I don't know. I don't mean to sound like a hater on Knit College here, but like it doesn't really seem like actual hand spun to me. Like, and then the sequins and stuff are cool, but they're kind of like stitched in. That once again also seems kind of weird. And the one that really I thought was weird was this gray one. And like I said, I think I was just spoiled because the Lovely Lions yarn was so nice that it was making the Knit College look kind of weird. This gray one, like it's got like this cord you can see on the end, like in the middle, and then this yarn is on like the outside of it, and it's not really like even spun. It's just kind of like fiber felted on top of a cord, and it ends up looking like this, which I guess is what people want, but I don't know, it was kind of odd. So this one here that I've switched back to is one of her beehives, and it's really cool. So, like I said, I definitely superior craftsmanship at the Lovely Lions yarn. So I'll have to tell her how much I enjoyed it. But the stitch pattern I'm doing, these are, and like I said, my camera's about to die, size 11 double pointed needles from the Knit Picks double pointed needles kit. So it's not an obscenely huge needle, and it's something pretty standard most people would have. So let's see, what row am I on? Okay, so I'm gonna be doing a garter. This thing's so big and I hardly keep it on my lap at this point. I've been working on this at like a mom's group at church that has like childcare that the kids like to go play with. So I'm always like the crazy lady with yarn there. But they all love me. So, like I said, you can see even with this big beehive yarn, you just use it like regular yarn. People are always afraid of like, oh, what do you do with this big weird yarn? Like, you just use it like you would any other yarn. And see how, like I said, it's totally different texture. I'm working together here with this other kind of funky one from Knit College. And I do think my battery is about to die, but see the little beehives just knit right in there. And like I said, the yarn gauge, I've gone from like a big single chunky to kind of a bulky weight with beehives. But see, the beehives just work right in there. And that's how I've done the connections on all of these. I could make a nice mat. I could do like a table runner. Maybe it'll end up being a table runner. That's actually a really good idea. So, like I said, just kind of, she'd sent me all this beautiful yarn, and I so appreciated it. I really wanted to make something cool out of it and show that you could use a lot of different textures together. But yeah, table runner would also be an excellent plan. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here before my battery dies. But I just wanted to show that you don't have to have like those giant vampire stake knitting needles for this yarn. I've been knitting this whole thing. I've never changed needles on just these size 11s, and it's going just good. So happy yarning, everybody, and I will keep you posted on when this table runner / scarf pattern is complete. And have a good one.